Hi, welcome to Black to Bitcoin, where we talk about the need for Bitcoin in the Black community. I'm Tiffany, and today we are wrapping up our wealth gap series. All right, so we've already talked about the other two, which were access to assets and then home ownership and the debt trap. So those were the first two, and today we are going to talk about inflation. Okay? Let's talk about it. All right? But before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And again, make sure you do your own research. I have resources in the description. Get a book and really learn about what Bitcoin is. Okay? Let's get into it. All right. So per usual, I have my notes here, and I'm going to go over some stats. Now, before I even go into this, we all know inflation happens. You know your groceries cost way more than they did in 1990. So telling you it is happening is not the need, okay? We're just going to go into depth, okay? All right. So let me make sure I understand. All right, so right now we have a 2.7% inflation rate. All right, some more stats are 293% higher than it was in 1980. Let me repeat. 293% is the number of how much inflation has increased. Okay? And then I think to put it in terms that are a little bit more understandable, $1 in 1980 is $4 today. So it's 4 times more. So whatever $1 bought you then, $4 will buy you now. So it's bad, okay? That's not like 1950. This is 1980, okay? Most of us were already born when this number, like the $1 thing was. And you know it when you used to be able to get like $1 meal, like the little combos and like have whatever chicken nuggets for $1 or whatever. You deep down, you know what I'm talking about. But that is the actual stat, is $1 to $4. Okay, so 4 times more. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how this is relevant, what it means, and why Bitcoin is the solution. All right, so this is the thing. Black people, now this goes back to my home ownership thing and the late assets and not owning as much and owning it late. Okay, Black people mostly own cash. All right, we don't have assets. And the problem with that is that the US dollar is losing its value. There's a reason why people invest. There's a reason why investing is a thing. It's because the inflation is happening. So you have to keep up with inflation with your money. So when people are investing in real estate, they're investing in stocks, they know that those stocks are going to rise over time and they are going to race inflation. But if you have something, you're holding something that does not increase in value, you're basically losing money over time. So if that $4 is not $1 anymore and you're still making pretty much the same thing, which is another topic for another day because that is usually what is happening. The minimum wage does not rise as fast as the inflation does, right? So you're losing money by holding cash. And that's what Black people do. Majority of Black people do. Okay? So I have that. And that's pretty much it, actually. That's pretty much it. The point is that we hold cash and they own assets. So that's where the wealth gap comes as well. So in addition to us having late access to it, and that goes into it too, though. Okay? The whole cash thing. So even So I told you with the late access thing that we didn't have the advantage of starting when they did. And I used the example of like, say the granddad started, investing in stocks in 1950 and it compounded over time. And the fact that if we decided or we started investing in the 1990s, that we're not getting the compounding. They have like a 40-year head start, right? That ties into inflation as well, because that amount of money that they've made over time, it's now it's not even just keeping up with the inflation, it is beating the inflation, right? And that's where net worth comes into play. So we're looking at like a big deal, right? And while inflation affects everybody, it affects us more because we don't have things that are increasing in value. Okay, so that's pretty much what I have for that. And then I'm going to go into why Bitcoin is great. Okay, so Bitcoin is hard money. Okay, it's hard money. Part of what that means is that it is an asset that actually it can't be duplicated. The reason the US dollar loses its value is because the government prints so much of it. Okay, it's an asset that does not run out. Okay, and it's just losing its value in the world. And it's mostly because of the fact that there is an infinite quantity. Bitcoin, on the other hand, it's finite. So when it was started, and that was 2009, okay, it was decided there's only going to be 21 million of them. Period. Okay? Whoever grabs them, grabs them. Once it's gone, it's gone. And there is a way that it can't just all be taken right away, because every 4 years they put a little bit more out and all this stuff. So that's a whole nother conversation, is teaching how Bitcoin works and the mining and all of that stuff. It's like complicated, but it's not, enough for you to be able to, want to invest in it. But I don't know, lost my train of thought. Yeah, so basically it's hard money, and there's only 21 million of it. And because it's hard money, it appreciates in value immensely. So if you look at the stats for how much the US dollar, and like the way you can kind of attest to that is tracking the stock market. So the S&P 500 or something like that. That kind of gives you an idea, because it shows like all the top companies, how the economy is kind of rising with companies. If you look at that versus Bitcoin, I can't think of the exact number right now, and I don't want to like make up a number. But if you look at the numbers, Bitcoin has outpaced the US dollar and the stock market by a lot. A lot. So if you would have invested, say, in Bitcoin in 2009 when it began, or even 2015, and you were just putting in a little bit all the time, you'd be a millionaire by now. Like, not even just a millionaire. You would have a lot of money. Some people are like multi-millionaires, close to like, not billionaires, but in the triple millions just from crypto. And a lot of it is Bitcoin. Okay, so it is an asset that is really going to appreciate, and it's hard money. So we need to grab it and save it. Okay, we don't need to grab it and sell it. We need to grab it and save it. Okay, because it is the hedge against inflation. It increases your purchasing power. So when that house is becoming more expensive, Bitcoin is outpacing that. So when you want that house, you have bought that house and have a lot of money left over. All right, so that is the benefit of Bitcoin. That's the only points I have written here, and that's the end of the series. I just want to finish and just, my final thoughts on it. First, let me do a recap. So late access, the fact that we did not get to invest in things as early as white people. Home ownership and the debt trap, and how we are taxed in home ownership, as well as just interest rates on typical things. and now inflation, and how it increases immensely over time, and how Bitcoin, by the way, has done more than 400, 300, what was it, 300% more than that since its inception. Like, I'm talking about like 1,000%. A lot. You can go look at the number. I can't think of the number off the top of my head, but I'll do a video about it. So you can really just grasp how much it has grown. Okay. I will do that. But anyways, so those are the three. All right. And I just want to drive it home that the wealth gap, and this is why I started the series as my first series on the channel. It's because the wealth gap is the problem, obviously. Money is power, okay? Yes, everything falls under the money. So the education and being in politics and all these other things, having, good role models and, creating our own entities and black business and all these things are so important. But in the end, the money is what talks. That is why we complain and we're upset about the, billionaires, making all the rules and doing whatever they want, taking advantage of working class people. It's revolved around money. And Bitcoin is money, and it's sound money, and it's hard money, and it's great money, and it's going to take over. It's going to replace the dollar at some point, and we need to own it. Okay? That's it. Hope you enjoyed the series. If you didn't see the other two, go check them out. Other than that, have a great day, and I will see you next time. We got more to talk about, all right? All right, take care. Bye.